Back in April, I wrote a one-off sketch that was inspired by the comedic stylings of Jake and Amir. That one-off quickly spiraled into a sketch comedy series named Fishbowl, which found its blueprints in another CollegeHumor property, Hardly Working. I've loved CollegeHumor for as long as I've used YouTube. I distinctly remember downloading all of their videos off of iTunes and keeping it on my iPod Touch during middle school. They were a huge influence on me and one of the reasons I got into making videos. In fact, working at CollegeHumor or getting an internship there was actually a dream of mine before they relocated from New York to LA. So, I was understandably euphoric when my and soon-to-be regular teen counterpart discovered that all 6 episodes of CollegeHumor's quickly canceled sitcom was available to be streamed on MTV.com. While the show didn't last, the idea of an internet comedy site landing a television series was something I had never considered before. This is especially interesting because nowadays it's kind of a given. The title internet celebrity might be slung around by the traditional media like an insult, but it's common knowledge that a lot of clever writers and performers have gotten their start online. For example, Donald Glover got his start with Derek Comedy, an online sketch group, before writing for 30 Rock, one of the best sitcoms of the 21st century. From there, he landed a role in Community, which is arguably my favorite TV show of all time. That show was created by Dan Harmon, a man I consider the Ben Kenobi of comedy. Despite having a more traditional trajectory than Glover, he was one of the creators of Channel 101, a monthly short film festival that's known for jump-starting a number of popular web series. It ultimately led to a creative partnership with Justin Roiland, a comedic cocktail that led to... Yeah! But let's get back to the CollegeHumor show. It was designed as an extension of the cast's web antics. Hardly Working was iconic for the way in which it took traditional TV humor and fused it with the internet's inanity. The MTV program took this simple premise and flipped the order, feeding us bite-sized skits blown back up for the small screen. And if you hear that and think that the show's charm would wear off fast, then you're absolutely right. After rewatching the show 8 years after its release, it came as a shock to me to see just how clunky it was. I mean, it certainly wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, and I did get a fair number of laughs reviewing it, but the show just doesn't stand out. Each of the personalities on screen are dumbed-down caricatures that may work wonders in web content but don't translate to a longer medium. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bash the show or anything. In fact, I genuinely enjoyed watching it again after all these years. For all its flaws, it's undeniably the work of the CollegeHumor writing team, and it carries their charm.
Sarah, what do you think about this for the paper?
Lexi Myers is turning dead?
Yeah. Well, birthday announcements are cheaper than obituaries, so I don't know, advertising's weird like that.
The show may not be a Community or 30 Rock, but it was one of the first times I had been exposed to web personalities trying to cross over into television. It was such a transparent continuation of what worked for the company online. Simple and fast entertainment. The CollegeHumor show still managed to speak to me despite its failure. Would I urge you to seek the show out? Not really, but I'm glad I did because it reminded me of how much media used to excite me. That excitement towards video production is something I needed to be reminded of because, like the CollegeHumor show, it appeared to have been buried and lost in the intervening years. In fact, this episode was originally going to be built around my inability to find the show itself, because most traces of it seem to have been scrubbed off the net. But that all changed when a Reddit user we'll call Ron Smiley gifted me the entire season. It was then that I realized that the show wasn't all that good, but that this was okay and that I shouldn't feel bad about loving it in spite of this. We all have guilty pleasures, things that we know aren't great but still appreciate. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see any need to hide guilty pleasures or even be ashamed of them. They're as large a part of our personality as anything else. Why should another person's opinion of something directly stop me from enjoying it? People have a tendency to only seek out the best programming available. It's an understandable practice. Why sit through mediocrity when you could watch something good instead? But I think that mentality is like being overly cautious with a flame. You might not get burned by maintaining a safe distance from lackluster entertainment, but if you play your cards right or get lucky, wouldn't moving closer to the flame provide more warmth for yourself? Art, even supposedly lackluster art, is still art at the end of the day. It can still have an effect on you. I'm not saying you should go out of your way to watch the evil Bong movies or anything. I'm simply suggesting that it's okay to approach something that isn't universally beloved with an open mind. After all, what harm could it do? If you're lucky, you'll find something you actually enjoy, something you uniquely connected with for reasons you might not even be able to explain. And worst case scenario, you shrug it off and move on with your life. That not only applies to watching content, but to making it too. These days, the original College Humor has moved on and a new generation has taken their place. While I quite like the new team and their content, there's no denying that I miss the originals. But the thing is, they've left for new and exciting projects. For example, Streeter Seidel and Sarah Schneider now write for Saturday Night Live, Pat Castles writes for Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, and Dan Gerwich writes for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Each of these programs were nominated for an Emmy this year.
Put down the camera and help me!
My point is, each of them were a part of a series that was technically a failure, but despite this, they kept going and struck gold in other gigs. The College Humor Show's existence is a reminder that a project's failure doesn't necessarily entail a lack of talent. It's also an early glimpse to the fact that phenomenal talent can spring up anywhere, even online. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'd love to hear about a show, movie, record, or game that you would consider a guilty pleasure. Be sure to follow me on social media for updates and random bonus clips. And feel free to check out my other channel, New Wave, where I host live action content. As always, have a great day.